Just wonder, Mick Mulvaney, the choice now of his running mate, that's been announced. He announced it on his Truth Social. The choice of JD Vance, an Ohio senator who's only been there for 2 years. I mean, he's not a guy you'd look to immediately step in as president should the worst happen. He doesn't bring a constituency like a black constituency or a Latino constituency that Senator Marco Rubio might have done. It seems to me this is a choice you would make if you thought you had the election in the bag and you wanted someone that you would be happy to work with.
I think that's exactly right. I disagree a little bit with the experience thing. Keep in mind, he's been in the Senate just as long as Barack Obama was. He had a fairly successful private life before that. He served in the military and so forth. So he does have that. He doesn't have the constituency. You're absolutely right. Ohio, the state that he is from, is really not at risk. It's solidly in the Trump camp. But I think you hit the nail on the head. It was Eric Trump today earlier who on Sky News mentioned the word chemistry. And I think that's right. I think that's the operative word here. Keep in mind, Donald Trump, I think, has realized this time around that the only person that he can hire that he can't fire is the vice president. He can replace his secretary of state. He can replace his chief of staff, but he can't replace the vice president. So if he was sanguine about his opportunities or about his standing right now and his chances of winning, maybe he just picked somebody that he wouldn't mind working with for the next 4 years. And there's a lot of discussion that had a lot to do with this pick. Keep in mind, I'm close friends with the chairman of the Republican National Committee, and he was texting today that not even he knew who the pick was as recently as a couple of minutes before the announcement came out on Trump's Truth Social. So Trump played this one very close to the chest. But I think your instincts, Andrew, are right. Trump thinks he's in the driver's seat. He thinks it's his election to lose. I think he's right about that. And he just wanted a vice president he thinks he can work well with. But yeah, the guy started with absolutely nothing. It's a wonderful story. Keep in mind, Senator Vance is from Ohio. He's from Eastern Ohio. And if you don't understand the geography of the U.S., and a lot of folks who live here don't, that's almost closer to Pennsylvania than Western Ohio is to Eastern Ohio. It's very similar. It's sort of the Appalachian Mountains region of our country. And that area of the country is very similar, even though you're in a different state. So I think that the Trump team is hoping he can deliver that message in Western Pennsylvania, which is a swing state. Michigan, another Rust Belt state. Maybe JD Vance's bootstrap yourself to success story can help. And he's a nice guy. He just is. He's a devout Roman Catholic. And that might help sell in Wisconsin and Minnesota. So we're talking with a Republican leader, a member of the Republican leadership from Minnesota today. And he thinks that with JD Vance in the vice presidential slot, Minnesota will be now a swing state, a state that Trump might be able to pick up. So it's a lot of dynamics there. But I keep coming back to the chemistry issue that Eric Trump raised. I think all of those other things we've just mentioned are a bonus. I think Donald Trump picked him because he liked him and thinks he can work with him for 4 years.
Now, you've been, having worked with Trump, you've supported Trump. You must be absolutely amazed that a lot of people have this idea that Donald Trump is a dictator in waiting, is a monster, is going to tear the Constitution apart, he's out for revenge, and this incredible thing. Our national broadcaster, even after Donald Trump escaped the assassin's bullet, last night had a program going through exactly that script, that Democrat script, that this is a man you've got to fear and hate. How do you explain that dichotomy of the man you see and the man that the elite media, so to speak, presents?
Well, you use the right word, and that's the elite, the elitist in this country. Look, Donald Trump has his weaknesses. Every one of us does. And I understand the criticisms of his policy, and I certainly understand the criticisms of some of his mannerisms. And certainly January 6th is nothing to be proud of. It was a significant problem. There's no reason, no question about it. It's the reason that I quit the administration. But there's not a straight line from that to an existential threat to the American democracy. One of the leading shows in this country this morning on the leading left-leaning network actually went off the air. They did not have a show on today because the network was concerned about what the people on that show might say. So there is certainly a heavy dose of what we call Trump derangement syndrome. People for whom Donald Trump really is the devil. He really is Adolf Hitler reincarnated. And it's their, verbiage that has become, their language is becoming under a great deal of scrutiny since the shooting on Saturday. So look, Donald Trump is a divisive figure. There's no question about it. He's managed to win one election being a divisive figure. He lost another. I think one of the most interesting things in the next 72 hours is going to be, is he going to try to win in 2024, continuing that divisiveness, taking the theory that his side is larger than the other side, or is he going to try and pivot and be somewhat of a unifier? I think that would be fascinating to watch. But in light of the shooting on Saturday, it's certainly not outside the bounds of possibility.
No, I think it's really interesting whether he can maintain it, but I think it's an absolutely winning formula. That show you mentioned, of course, was the Morning Joe. And if I was employing Joe Scarborough, I wouldn't trust him within a cooey of a microphone either right at the moment. But there you go. Mick Mulvaney, thank you so much for your time.
Andrew, all the best. We'll talk soon.